Ya ba ba bim bim bam, ya ba 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 bim bam.
I want your daughter to come and all, but I'm really happy that you're here.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll be here earlier tomorrow, I promise. I don't know what we're playing. This is fully charged.
Same? Okay. I can't do the two of them together.
What were you just playing? Were you just riffing?
Shabbat el yishmereni oti leomead beno ubeni oti leomead beno ubeni yeshmera Shabbat el yishmereni yeshmera Shabbat el yishmereni ay 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 oti leol meyad beino uveini oti leol meyad beino uveini yeshmera Shabbat el yishmereni yeshmera Shabbat el yishmereni oti leol meyad אותי לעולמי עד בינו וביני כי אשמרה שבת אל ישמרני כי אשמרה שבת אל ישמרני אותי לעולמי עד בינו וביני אותי לעולמי עד בינו וביני. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
What a wonderful thing is to welcome Shabbat and to welcome Shabbat in community. This very special Shabbat, Shabbat of Parashat Noach, one of the most interesting Torah portions in the entire Torah. And I know, I say that every week, but this one is really special. It's really special because some of the most foundational stories, the stories that everybody knows. The story of the flood and the ark, the story of the Tower of Babel. We'll talk about that tomorrow a little bit. All these stories are in this Torah portion. And also the story of the rainbow that reminds us of a covenant with the diversity of humanity. Is also in this Torah portion. And also in this Shabbat, tomorrow morning, we'll have two wonderful children of our community coming up to the Torah and leading us in prayer. So we can't be more excited, prouder, and filled with joy as we enter this Shabbat in community. We will now turn our Sidurim to page 129 as we think of love in this Shabbat.
It's 129 in the blue bracketed numbers.
Abigail and Jonah and Allison and Maggie and Berdine to help us light the Shabbat candles and feel the Shabbat warmth. We are on page 120 as we light these candles.
Shabbat shalom,
Shabbat
everyone.
shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbos, Masal Tov. Shabbos. It's interesting how the sound of the holidays is in the back of our minds.
It's how I actually did it all every Shabbat growing up in Greenville, South Carolina.
What?
It's how I grew up.
Really? With the
Always.
That's a nice
Always.
thing. We will now turn our Sidurim to page 130. And all the numbers are in the blue brackets. Always follow the brackets. So on page 130, we welcome Shabbat on our feet. Lechu nera nera. We walk toward welcoming Shabbat.
L'Adonai nariע לצור ישנו נקדמה פניו בתודה בזמירות נריע לו נקדמה פניו בתודה בזמירות נריע לו שירו לאדוני שיר חדש שירו לאדוני כל הארץ שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו מסרו מיום ליום ישועתו ספרו בגויים כבודו בכל העמים נפלאותיו ילאי לי 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 ילאי לי לי ילאי לי לי ילאי לי לי ילאי
Adonai Malach on page 132, Dagel haaretz, Ismechu, Ihim Rahavim, Or Zaru ala Tzadik, Ulishrei Lev, Simcha. A light is shown to the righteous, and for those that are seekers of a path of mitzvot, of engagement with the world, we also say, Shir Adonai, Shir Hadash, Ki Niflaot Asa. We sing songs to the wonders that we encounter in our world. As we enter this Shabbat, we try to recognize those wonders that we sometimes take for granted in the routine of our lives. We try to take each of these psalms, each of these melodies, as a step in a stairway that help us enter this world of celebration in time, this palace in time, and help us transform this Friday night into an evening of Shabbat, into Erev Shabbat. We're on page 134.
בחצוצרות בקול שופר הריעו לפני מלך אדוני ירם העם לו דבר ליושביו נהרות ימחאו כף היד
our Sidurim to page 136 for Psalm 29. Mizmor LeDavid.
136.
Mizmor LeDavid, Avu l'Adonai b'nei Elim. Mizmor LeDavid, Avu l'Adonai kavod va'oz. Mizmor LeDavid, Avu l'Adonai b'nei Elim. Mizmor LeDavid, Avu l'Adonai kavod va'oz. Avu l'Adonai kavod va'oz. Avu l'Adonai kavod shemo. Avu l'Adonai kavod va'oz. Avu l'Adonai kavod shemo. Yai, 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 yai. Yai, 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 yai. Yai, 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 yai. Yai, 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 yai. Adonaios, le'amo yiten. Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom.
Page 137.
Adonaios,
le'amo
yiten. Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom. Yai, 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 yai. Yai, 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 yai. Yai, 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 yai. Yai, 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 yai. Adonaios, le'amo yiten. Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom. Adonaios, le'amo yiten. Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom.
As we turn our Sidurim to page 138 for Lecha Dodi, I always like to remind that Lecha Dodi, this poem that is at the center of Kabbalat Shabbat, at the center of our prayer the prayer in which we welcome Shabbat, was written by a poet in the 16th century that lived in a context of people that were trying to figure out a way to reconnect with their spiritual practices. They were trying to find a path. Most of the celebration of Shabbat that we do until the moment that we say Baruch Hu comes from that time and from that moment. And an interesting thing is that different groups, different Jews in different parts of the world brought different melodies to this wonderful poem. Some of them are Sephardic melodies, some of them come from Morocco, from Spain, from Portugal, and some of them come also from the United States. I think there's one or two from Argentina also, and not that we know them, and some of them also come from Hasidic groups that were trying to find melodies for their way to sing Lecha Dodi. This melody of Lecha Dodi comes from a Hasidic group called Modich. We introduced this melody last week. So if you weren't here last week, we will reintroduce it and we will teach you the chorus. It's very simple. And once you know the chorus, we will go through this and we will repeat it. It's a long poem. So you'll get it, we promise. It goes like this. Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה יאללה לה 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 לפני שבת נקבלה lecha dodi לקראת כלה יאללה לה 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 לה
פני שבת נקבלה.
It's like you knew it. So maybe when you watch it online or you knew it from before, it's a very old melody. We'll try it together now. And we are going to sing the first, the second, the fifth, the sixth, and the ninth verses of Lechadodi. In the ninth verse, we will invite you to rise and to turn toward the door of the synagogue.
חדודי לקראת כלה יאללה לה 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 פני שבת נקבלה לחדודי לקראת כלה יאללה לה 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 פני שבת נקבלה
שמור וזמור בדיבורך השמיענו אל המיוחד אדוני אחד ושמו אחד לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה
לחדודי לקראת כלה יאללה לה 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 פני שבת נקבלה לחדודי לקראת כלה יאללה לה 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 פני שבת נקבלה
לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה כי מקור עבירה אחת מראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה
לחדודי לקראת כלה יאללה לה 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 פני שבת נקבלה לחדודי לקראת כלה יאללה לה 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 פני שבת נקבלה
התעוררי התעוררי כי באורך קומי אורי 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 שיר חברי כבוד אדוני עלייך בגלל
לחדודי לקראת כלה יאללה לה 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 פני שבת נקבלה לחדודי לקראת כלה יאללה לה 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 פני שבת נקבלה
לא תבושי ולא תגעלמי מה תשתוכחי ומה תאמי בך יחסו עניי עמי ונבנתה עיר אל תילי
לחדודי לקראת כלה יאללה לה 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 פני שבת נקבלה לחדודי לקראת כלה יאללה לה 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 פני שבת נקבלה
אוהי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצולם תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה
לחדודי
לקראת כלה יאללה לה 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 פני שבת נקבלה לחדודי לקראת כלה יאללה לה 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 פני שבת נקבלה.
And now that we have welcomed Shabbat, we invite you to take a moment to acknowledge each other and to welcome each other. So you can go around, say good Shabbos, take your time. And if you see a face that you do not recognize, make sure that you say Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. La 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 la. La la la. Shabbat shalom. How are you? Very good to see you. Good to see you again. Shabbat shalom levorach. Ya la 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 la. I'm Nico. Can you remember your name? Mayra, right? I remember that we met after services in the High Holies in the hallway. Very good to see you. Hi, Eva. Shabbat shalom. Welcome. Good to see you again. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la.
Ya la 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 la.
We invite you to page 140, Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat. Mizmor Shir,
Shir leyom HaShabbat.
Mizmor Shir, Shir leyom HaShabbat. Mizmor Shir, Shir leyom HaShabbat. Mizmor Shir, Shir leyom HaShabbat. Mizmor Shir, Shir leyom HaShabbat. Mizmor Shir, Shir leyom HaShabbat. Mizmor Shir, Shir leyom HaShabbat. Mizmor Shir, Shir leyom HaShabbat. Mizmor Shir.
Sing with us.
Shir leyom HaShabbat. Mizmor Shir, Shir leyom HaShabbat.
Page.
We're on page 144.
Yikadal ve'yikadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma divera hirote v'yamlik malhute. Behayehon uvyomehon uvhayeder whole Beit Yisrael. Bagala, Bagala, Uvizman Kariv, Veimeru, Amen. Yeheshme Rabba Mevara, Le'alamu Ame Amaya, Yitbarak, Yitbarak, Ve'yishtabak, Ve'yitpar, Ve'yitraman, Ve'yitnaseh, Ve'yithadar, Ve'yitale, Ve'yithalal, Shemei Dekudasha, Brihu, Le'elah min kol birhata v'shirata, Tushbehata v'nehemata, Da'amiran be'alma, V'imeru, Amen.
We're on our Sidurim now to page 146 for Baruch. Please rise.
Top of page 149. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת. Everlasting love you offer your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai, our God, when we lay down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Dear God, please never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai.
Ohev Amo Yisrael.
We're on page 152 for the Shema.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Page 154.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadivarim ha'eleh asher anohi misaveha hayom al levavecha Vishinantam livaneha vidibarta bam bashivteha baveteha uvleteha vaderech uvshopbeha uvekumeha ukshartam leo al yadeha vihayulatotafot bein eineha Uktavtam al mezuzo beiteha uvisharecha limon tizkeru ve'asitem et kol mitzvotaim v'hitem kiddoshim lelohehem ani Adonai Elohehem asher hotzeiti etem Me'eretz Mitzrayim lehiot lahem lelohim ani Adonai Elohehem.
Emet Adonai Elohechem Emet.
אמת ונכל סוד הקיים עלינו, כי אדוני אלוהינו ואין זולתו, ואנחנו ישראל עמו. We continue with the silent reading over page 156. When your children witness your presence, they praise your name in gratitude, and they accepted your sovereignty. Moshe, Miriam, and all Israel sang to you together, lifting their voices with joy. Who is like you, O God, mi kamocha, ba'elim Adonai. We're on page 158. Mi kamocha, ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha, nehedar b'kodesh. Mi kamocha, ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha, nehedar b'kodesh. Nora tehilot, ose felet, redeemed Jacob from a hand stronger than his own, from an obstacle that seemed to be impossible. But ultimately, with faith, conviction, determination, he was able to overcome. Praise are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ya'al Israel. With that sense of joy and connection, of being able to face our challenges and to walk toward them with faith. We turn our Sidurim to page 160 for the blessing, the prayer for internal peace.
Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, ve'amidenu shomreinu lechayim. Ushmot zetenu, uvoenu, lechayim ushalom. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, ve'amidenu shomreinu lechayim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, ve'amidenu shomreinu lechayim.
Baruch atah Adonai, הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל ירושלים. The city of Shalom, the city of Shalom. Children of Israel, spread over us your shelter of Shalom, your cover of peace. Baruch atah Adonai. נברך את עמו ישראל בשלום. שמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. It is a covenant between God and the children of Israel to keep Shabbat in our lives and to let Shabbat keep us alive. And with that idea, we turn our Sidurim to page 164 for Tfilat Amidah. As 164, 164. You can follow the millennia-old words of our tradition, or alternatively, you can take a moment for personal prayer. Please rise.
שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise.
יהיו לרצון אמרי פי והגיון ליבי, לפניך אדוני צורי בגואלי, may the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai my rock and my redeemer. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן. May the one who makes peace in the high heavens make peace for us, for all Israel, and all who inhabit the earth. And let us say, at this point we take a moment to acknowledge those that are dealing with illness. We think of those that are dealing with illness in their bodies, those that are dealing with illness in their souls, and so of those that are dealing with addictions, and those that are carrying grief. If you like to share a name in this Erev Shabbat, you are invited to do so as we go around the room.
Neil Schwartz.
Richard Kennemer, Jack Long, Don Grin-Gorton, Bruce Roberts, Stuart Mass, Howard Levine, Alfreda Massman, Diane Siegel, Francine Pack, Jill Becker, Gail Frankel, Melanie Weil, Scott Van Gundy, Ed Stein, Stu Baker, Jeff Young, Dave Stahl, Larry Krasno, Lonnie Goldman, Richard Ravitch, former member of Shir Hadash, Lauren Janovich, cousin of Joyce Bodick, Edna Stone, mother of Eric Stone, Adam Kaufman, Lillian Murad, mother of Tufik Murad.
We're on page 371 for Misha Berach. To all of them, to all of you, to all of us, refuah shlema, a complete recovery and well-being. And let us say,
Amen.
heights sometimes help when they work. Okay, they do work. Good job, everyone. I hate it when it's Monday, not only because it's Monday, but when it's Monday and I wake up thinking that I need to talk about anti-Semitism. And then on Tuesday and Wednesday, and so I try to turn it off. I first wonder, maybe it was just a mistake. And when I realized that it's consistent, I try to explain to myself that this is as anti-Semite as verbal stupidity. And so I wish it will just go away. But denial aside, then it's Thursday, and yet another tweet, and more remarks. And I don't like to be driven by hatred, so I would say that I really, really dislike when it's Friday, and I wake up thinking that I need to talk about anti-Semitism. But if we need to talk, if I need to talk about anti-Semitism, I hope that at least we can do it through the lens of the study of Torah. This week we read Parashat Noach. After the flood that was meant to literally wipe out a corrupted civilization, God says, "Ve'ach et damchem lenafshotechem edrosh." But for your own lifeblood, I will require a reckoning. I will require it of every beast, of humankind too. Will I require a reckoning for human life, of everyone for each other? Shfoch dam Adam be'adam damo yishafech. Whoever sheds human blood by human hands, shall that one's blood be shed. For in the image of God was humankind made. Now, this statement feels almost like a contradiction. You are telling me now what you will require, that you will require a reckoning for our souls, for our well-being, when a few verses back, to say it kind of nice way, you made an entire reset to humanity. Now, we are preoccupied about well-being. But maybe this is the statement that explains the nature, the intention, the message behind the flood. Shfoch dam Adam, be'adam damo yishafech. Whoever sheds human blood by human hands, shall that one's blood be shed. For in the image of God was humankind made. Meaning that bloodshed is a cycle with no end. And reminding us what we learned a week ago in the first Torah portion of the book of Genesis and the entire Torah, that we were all created in the image of God. But bloodshed is not limited to physically harming one another. As we later learn in the book of Leviticus, Lo tilech rachil be'amecha, ve'lo tamod al dam re'echa, ani Adonai. Do not deal basely with others. Do not stand idly by the blood of your fellow. I am Adonai. Meaning, do not gossip. Do not defame. Because defamation is like bloodshed in our tradition. And so, do not stand indifferently in the face of the bloodshed of your fellow. And the signature of this statement is, Ani Adonai, I am your God. And so you, we, all of us shall remember that we were all created in the image of God. The message is clear. Even though sometimes we would like not to talk about it, even though we are tired of it, we cannot be indifferent to harm, whether physical or verbal. Responding to hatred is actually a mitzvah. Now, going back, we were in Leviticus just a moment ago. Going back to Genesis, and this week's Torah portion, just after being reminded that we are accountable for each other's blood and that we were all created in the image of God, the parasha takes it to an even deeper level. And we are introduced to a covenant that God makes with humanity. In Genesis 9, between verses 13 and 17, Et kashti natati ve'anam, vayta le'od brit beini ubein haaretz. I have set my rainbow in the clouds, and it shall serve as a sign of the covenant between me and the earth. The symbol of this covenant is the rainbow, that for good reasons today is used as a symbol of diversity. God's covenant with humanity is for us humans to understand the necessary nature of our diversity. And yet, too often, we fail to internalize this truth. Anti-Semitism belongs in that realm. And therefore, it should always be denounced. However, as important as denouncing anti-Semitism is strengthening Semitism for two fundamental reasons. Number one, hatred is too often linked to ignorance. And so, living our lives Jewishly is, in a way, educational for those who don't know us. And I believe that it ultimately helps decrease hatred. Come on, if you know us, wouldn't you love us? Those that hate us don't know us. The second, because we are one of those colors in the emblematic rainbow, and our particular identity is necessary for the composition of this diverse world, hiding our identities or refraining from proudly living a Jewish life is in a way failing to that same covenant. Hatred, defamation, and of course, anti-Semitism are real threats to the covenant with fellow humans and with God. But so it is, while in a very different form, denying our particular identity. So in this Shabbat of Parashat Noach, while many of us really dislike waking up in the morning feeling that we need to talk about anti-Semitism, we denounce anti-Semitism and hatred in all forms. But you know, I really like waking up in the morning thinking that I am going to engage in Jewish learning or fulfill a mitzvah or celebrate Shabbat. So we celebrate this Shabbat of Parashat Noach driven by love and standing up against anti-Semitism by reaffirming the covenant, bringing our very special color to this very nuanced world, and strengthening Semitism and our Jewish identity. And therefore, it is really good that you are here tonight. It's really good that we are here tonight. Shabbat Shalom Mevorach. We'll continue our service, turning our Siddurim to page 588, but not without first taking a moment to acknowledge the anniversary of Bardin and Lee. Please join me to the Vima. Please rise as we open the ark. You will open the ark, I think. So we're going to wait for it. Over the curtain. Why don't you stand next to each other? I think that's a good idea. It is written in the book of Ecclesiastes in Coelet. Two are better than one because they have a good return for their work. If one falls, the other can help the first up. But pity the ones who fall and have no one to help them. Likewise, if two lay down together, they will keep each other warm. I didn't write this. That's Ecclesiastes, it's Shlomo. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves, and a threefold, the connection between the two, is not quickly broken. Our God and God of our ancestors, our hearts are filled with joy and gratitude as we look back over the years. How many years?
60.
How many?
60.
Can you hear? No, you cannot hear. Can we open this microphone? Because they are saying that they've been married for 60 years.
60.
Now they can hear you. For over 60 years that Bardin and Lee have shared together in marriage. They have been privileged to build a Jewish home filled with love and harmony, peace and partnership. They are blessed with children and grandchildren, growing up in health and happiness, loving Torah and performing acts of loving kindness. They are here today in gratitude for all the kindness which God has bestowed upon them since their wedding day. May God continue to watch over them and protect them from any sorrow and distress. May they enjoy good health together for many years to come. May God protect them. And may they continue to enjoy God's blessing, witnessing their descendants, occupying themselves with Torah and mitzvot. Dear God, grant them benediction and success in all their endeavors, embraced by the love of their children, grandchildren, and loved ones, so they might live in joy, peace, and companionship. And let us say, Amen. And then you will say, Baruch atah
Baruch atah
Adonai
Adonai
Eloheinu
Eloheinu
melech haolam
melech haolam
she'echeyanu
shehecheyanu
v'kiyemanu
v'kiyemanu
ve'egianu
v'higiyanu
lasman
lasman
aseh.
hazeh.
We sense for achieving this moment of togetherness and blessing. And I was told that Rabbi Aaron used to say that you can kiss the bride. Welcome. So with that, we will continue our service on page 588. Behashevota,
Behashevota,
elevavecha,
elevavecha,
ki Adonai,
ki Adonai,
hu Elohim,
hu Elohim,
Behashevota,
Behashevota,
elevavecha,
elevavecha,
ki Adonai,
ki Adonai,
hu Elohim,
hu Elohim,
ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו אחד. מזל טוב. Maybe see that.
Please be seated, yes. At this time, we acknowledge those mourners in our congregation this Shabbat. If you are observing a period of Shiva, the first 7 days of mourning, I invite you to rise, share the name of that loved one, and remain standing. If you are in a period of Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning, I invite you to rise, share the name of that loved one, and remain standing. If you are within the first cycle, the first year of a loved one's passing, I invite you to share the name of that loved one aloud and remain standing. If you are observing a yahrzeit on this Shabbat, I invite you to rise, share the name of that loved one, and remain standing. Zichronam Levacha, may their memories be for an enduring blessing. If it is your custom, I invite you to rise on page 598 for Kaddish.
Amen.
בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי תכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי לקודשה בריחו, לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמה ויאמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים, עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום, עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל, ויאמרו אמן.
May the memories of your dear ones be always a blessing. Yes, Zichram Baruch, you may be seated.
Announcements first, or then Kiddush?
Trista.
Trista is making announcements.
Announcements. Trista is coming up to make announcements. Shabbat Shalom.
I can't blame him for that one. I'm going to highlight just a few announcements, but you can see all of them on the back of your handout, and you can find all of our events on our website. On Saturday, October 29th at 9 a.m., Torah study will be in the chapel, followed at 10:30 a.m. for our Shabbat morning service, as Jonah Coven and Abigail Coven are called to the Torah as B'nai Mitzvah. On Wednesday, November 2nd at 7 p.m., join us for a panel discussion of the movie Upheaval, The Journey of Menachem Begin, with the movie director and SVJF executive director. Please register on the website. On Thursday, November 3rd at 11:30.
Can I make a comment on that? Menachem Begin is one of the most interesting prime ministers that we have in the state of Israel, and often not recognized and misunderstood for several reasons that you might learn when you watch the movie. But one of the most wonderful things that he, in my opinion, ever said, once he was asked, when he finally became a prime minister, after being for years the head of the opposition, he was asked, what kind of prime minister you are going to be? And his answer was, after thinking for a moment, he said, I hope a good Jew. So, very interesting character. Join us to discuss around this movie that we believe will be an interesting conversation.
Terrific. On Thursday, November 3rd at 11:30 a.m., Rabbi Nico will lead the class Nashim, Remarkable Jewish Women. Please register on the website. And then looking ahead, on Saturday, November 12th at 12 p.m., join Rabbi Nico for the first Lunch and Learn, For the Sake of Heaven, Jewish Wisdom for Divisive Times in American Society. Again, register on the website. And finally, on Sunday, November 13th, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., we will be having our Stanford blood drive here at Shir Hadash in the Oneg room. Thank you.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
And you do not have to be a member to donate blood. So if you are in the area and you do donate and you are able to donate, we really invite you to fulfill the mitzvah of saving a life. For Kiddush this evening, we would like to invite up Lee and Andrew. Kiddush can be found on page 122.
ויחול השמיים בארץ בכל צבאם, ויכל אלוהים ביום השביעי. מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישבות ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי, ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. Now you can raise your caps, and you say, sabri חבריי וחברותיי, I say that, and we will all answer לחיים.
L'chaim.
And then you say Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho v'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki yom yom tehila lemikva'e kodesh zeher letziat Mitzrayim kivanu v'chasta v'yotanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha v'ahava uvratzon inchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-shabbat.
We invite you to please rise as we conclude our service. We make sure that our blessings are not only for Shabbat, but also we share blessings with each other. Shabbat is a time to acknowledge not only the creation of the world, but also the things that we create, the wonders that we bring into this world. Like the parents of Israel, the loving parents of Israel, שמכם אלוהים, כשרה, רבקה, רחל ולאה, כפראים וכמנשה. We tell to all of them, יברככם אדוני ואיש מלכם, may God bless you and protect you. כן אדוני פניו אליכם ביחונקם. May God's light shine upon you and may God be gracious to you. יישא אדוני פניו אליכם. Shalom. May we find within ourselves God's light always. And may God bless us with the pride to be who we are, with the determination to bring our nuance, our color, our identities to this world, with the ability to love and not to hate. And most importantly, with its most important gift, שלום, ישם לנו שלום. אדוני עוש לעמיו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. שבת שלום מבורך everyone, שבת שלום. ליי 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 ליי, יאללה ליי 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 ליי, יאללה ליי ליי ליי, יאללה ליי ליי.
No.